Hello, and thank you for believing in the StreetCode base. When loading into base, you will first load into the loading screen, which features the StreetCode base promo video. You can edit or remove the loading screen by accessing the Strikes development script. Next, you will load into the multi-character selection screen. The center logo and script in general can be edited by accessing the thru multi-character script. Now, we will quickly cover banking in the StreetCode base. Access banking by pressing E key at the proper locations in banks around the city. Banks are on a IRL open and close schedule, so at nighttime players will not be able to access the bank and will have to use their debit card at the ATM to receive funds from the bank. During proper business hours, players can access bank and set their 4-digit PIN code and also request a copy of their debit card. Debit cards must be used to register it to that player to be used at the ATM or clothing stores. Once card is activated and PIN is set, that card can be used to access that player's bank account by any player that has that card and knows the correct PIN to that player's account. Next, we will quickly cover the clothing system. Clothing stores can be found at various locations on the map. Once at the location, use the third eye to access the options. All clothing purchased from store will automatically be made into an item. StreetCode's clothing system is fully built on the structure of items as outfits. Players can zoom in and out and also rotate their character while shopping for their selective drip. When purchasing, players can use cash or debit. Player must have an activated debit card and know the correct PIN from banking to use the debit option in all clothing stores. Once purchase is complete, player will be able to name the clothing items into an outfit and then will receive all their purchased items at checkout. Once clothes have been put on, players can press B on the keyboard to access the clothing menu to remove clothing items. Once item is removed, the item will be returned to player's inventory as a dirty clothing item. Dirty clothing can be put back on but risk adding a stink effect to the player, in which player will have to shower or use deodorant item to remove smell. To clean clothes, players can press E at the laundry location. While in the animation, players can drag dirty clothes to use one by one to receive clean clothing back. Players can open the clothing menu with a B button on keyboard and use the folding clothes option shown in video to rename clothing items to whatever they like for organization for later use. Once in animation, drag clothing item to use, and the item will be returned as a named item to your preference. The shoe store is the same as the clothing store as far as items and payments. StreetCode clothing system features authentic shoes and replicas. Any shoe purchased from the store will guaranteed be authentic. Server owners can blacklist certain shoes, such as Jordans, to have shoe releases in their server and only allow the release of a certain amount of shoes. We will cover that in a second. Players will also be able to check shoes for authenticity by bringing them to the shoe store worker and choosing the check shoes options. Once the worker is in animation, drag the shoe to be checked to use for the worker to check the shoe. Player will be notified through the notification system with the results. These shoes were apparently real since they were purchased from the store. If the shoes are suspect, the player will be notified that their shoes are suspect as well. So be smart when buying shoes from other players you don't know or trust. Server owners can create shoes for shoe drops via the shoe drop command. Use the command followed by shoe ID, then shoe variation number, then the name to be applied to the shoe. Players carrying the new shoe drop item will automatically carry the sneaker box as assigned to other players. They have a special release shoe, so keep your shoes put up and safe. Once used, the shoe will only return as a regular shoe, so players can roleplay having fresh, never-worn kicks for sale versus having some clean used kicks for sale. Owners can use the fake drop command the same way to create replica shoes also. Fake shoes have a chance of falling apart and leaving players' feet while running and jumping. Ruined replica shoes cannot be repaired, and player will need another pair of shoes. StreetCode, always on some street shit. The next stop is the pawn shop, where players can purchase jewelry for a nice price. The downside is there is a chance that the necklace will be fake. Low prices come with high risk. Fake chains can be tested by using the diamond tester on another player. That is, wearing a necklace. Fake chains can be broken by player consistently taking fall damage. The smart way to shop is to hit the icebox for all of your iced out needs, so you can 1000% guarantee you're getting the best diamonds in the city. Players with the icebox job can use the 2 locations in the back to perform certain tasks. Icebox workers can repair broken chains brought in by players with a fake chain that broke it using the necklace repair kit and the broken chain. They can also cut diamonds at this location to be used in the next location. Diamonds can be found by performing the mining task in the mining area. Icebox workers can make chains by using the cut diamonds and other material that can also be found at the mining area. Player will need the chain ID and the variation number, just like with the shoe creation command. Now, we will cover the Section 8 housing. This is a quick housing script for servers using the StreetCode base. Players can purchase ownership of the units and will receive all funds from the business. They will basically get access to options that will assist them in their journey of being a landlord. From evictions to late rent reports and more. Rooms can be purchased by players also. More units can be added to the script by accessing the config in Section 8. Once in your housing unit, players can access a few functions, including growing weed through a hydroponic system. Info on growing weed can be found in the README file. Section 8 has already been set up to work with the StreetCode cooking script and can be accessed by visiting the stove. Players have access to a storage unit to stash their belongings safely. Other players can access the storage unit also. There is a shower function in the shower for players who have the stinky fly effect going from using dirty clothes, so stay clean and stay street. Players can press the minus key to turn off lights and turn on lights. Lights being on will run up the player's light bill and can be paid at the electric company found on the map. Once the bill hits the config limit amount, the player lights will be turned off until paid in full. When growing weed in home, player must have lights on, otherwise the plant will die. Use the seed with the pot to place down the weed plant. Player will be able to place plant exactly where they want to place it. Once location is chosen, press the E key to lock in your new plant location. Due to being hydroponic, player will have to keep the lights on, plant fed and watered, the correct temperature in home, and make sure the correct pH balance is kept in the tank. Use the third eye on the plant to access all of this information on the plant. Full breakdown on growing weed can be found in the README file, so make sure you check that out. You may notice the temp status in the HUD changes to inside, while inside of home. Players' homes have their own temp, which can be controlled using the AC app. Once set, the temp will change shortly after. This is key to growing weed. Remember, not too hot and not too cold. If player lights are turned off by the electric company, then the AC will not work also. Once growing is finished, the weed product can be processed at the weed labs on the map to be properly dried and cured. When loading in for the first time, all players are given a SIM card. If used while the player has a phone item on them, they can contact the AI plug. Player can type a random message for RP purposes and wait for the plug to reply. Players will be able to get fronted a certain amount of drugs, in which can be changed in the AI plug config. Once deal is accepted, the plug will send one of his guys to drop it off at your location. If the plug is not paid, he will send his own henchmen and even other players to deal with you. There are also middlemen, aka distros, around the city that players can find and purchase from if they lose access to the plug. Distros only sell ounce-size packages versus the plug, who sells whole weight for the best prices. Players can also do jobs for the plug, in which they can gain plug rep and gain direct access to the plug at his home. A hidden feature that a lot of people didn't know is players can press G at the plug's door to knock and try to access him. If plug rep is good, he will allow you to buy. If not, he will threaten your life. There are 3 scales in the StreetCode base in which can be used to break down different drugs. The weed scale for obviously weed, the HQ scale in which most other drugs can be broken down with, and the chemistry scale used to break down special drugs. To add realism, scales can be placed down anywhere and used or picked back up. Scales should be pretty straightforward as far as usage. The menu shows what drug you're breaking down to and what items are needed to do so. Thanks to the new StreetCode Street Phone in the base, players can access majority of the drug selling methods from one menu. We won't cover the drug selling styles individually in this video due to the drug selling scripts already having their own vids. Players can click the drugs option to access the drug selling options. As you can see, there is a tab for jobs, drugs, and miscellaneous. The StreetCode base comes with various ways to sell drugs, all realistic, and take it from me because trust me, I know street shit because I do shit in the street every day. Also, cops that you see patrolling with their handgun out are part of the StreetCode AI Cops Pro patrol unit. They're the cops who handle players who are shooting. They are not always around, but keep your eyes open. AI Cops has already been fully integrated into base, so unless you want to add extra, you'll not have to do anything to set up the cop system. The same goes for the AI Medic script is fully set up to work with base out the box. Players will use the medic's command once dead to call medic after they have been notified that the medic is available. A spam blocker to keep players from calling medic as soon as they die. To perform house robberies, players can link with Crackhead Patty and offer her preferred drug of choice. She will then link players with her son Gucci, which will send the player on a lick at random locations around the city. Once at the location, player will need lockpicks to open the door. Once lockpick is complete, player will be teleported inside where they can search the area. Players can only go in alone and risk running into other players Gucci has sent on the same mission. This is where players can find the rare items in the city. StreetCode base comes with a whole grocery shopping system that includes a food stamp system also. Real life hood shit. Players can requalify for food stamps at each server restart. If accepted, player must use the food stamp card to register it and then will be able to check the remaining balance of the card. Any player can use any player's food stamp card also. There are multiple departments in the grocery store to shop from. Players can use the stove at Section 8 housing or any other housing script using the stove prop. Players can also use the cookout grill item to cook food anywhere to RP a cookout scene or more. StreetCode base features a black market system already integrated in. Players can earn street rep just like they earn plug rep by selling in the marked locations on the map. These locations are hot zones that players have to worry about other players and police in due to being known drug areas. Once the player has accumulated enough street rep, players can come to the side door of the pawn shop and press G, which is another hidden feature, and try to access the gun plug. If rep is good, they will be able to purchase. If not, he will threaten the player. Players with low street rep can use the Get Gun, Get SMG, and Get Rifle command on gang member peds to purchase a quick gun depending on their street rep. There is a ton more than can be done in the StreetCode base, but I think this video will be a great start to getting new servers and players up to speed on using and flying into the StreetCode base. As usual, thank you for believing in StreetCode. Stay safe and stay street until next time.